Everyone has at least heard of Alzheimer's, whether they discovered it through a family member or friend. There's a general understanding that Alzheimer's is a brain disease that's associated with dementia, and it can affect the memory as well as other functions of the body. But what many don't know is that your well-being can have a crucial part to play in slowing down Alzheimer's, or even possibly preventing it. There have been many studies done that show that better sleep, exercise, and cognitive engagement could help increase your overall well-being and help you fight Alzheimer's. Today, I'm going to be talking about utilizing good habits in our everyday lives, like better sleep and regularly exercising our bodies and minds can improve our overall well-being and potentially prevent Alzheimer's or even slow down its progress. So you may be one of those who are wondering, what is Alzheimer's and how does it affect memory? According to the book Psychology written by John Pinell and Stephen Barnes, Alzheimer's is a neurological disease and it is the most common cause of dementia that can affect individuals as young as 40. This disease affects about 50 million people across the globe, and about 10% of people suffer from this disease over the age of 65. That is a staggeringly high percentage of getting Alzheimer's, and not a lot of people are talking about this incurable disease. The text mentions there are 3 stages to Alzheimer's. The first stage is changes in the brain without any noticeable behavior or cognition changes. The second stage will show mild cognitive impairment. And the third stage is full dementia, where there's a major decline in memory, personality, and physiological changes like controlling one's bladder. You might be wondering how this disease can destroy so much of who we are, and the answer focuses on some very small things. Very, very small things. The book Biopsychology talks about the 3 defining characteristics of the disease. One of them, which I have a really hard time saying, is the neurofibrillary tangles, amyloid plaques, and neuron loss in the brain. The book quotes on page 247, neurofibrillary tangles are thread-like tangles of tau protein in the neural cytoplasm. Tau protein normally plays a role in maintaining the overall structure of neurons. This information can also be found in these works cited within the text. The book also mentions that amyloid plaques are basically scar tissue from degenerating neurons and aggregates from other protein called beta amyloid, which in normal healthy brains, they only show up in small amounts, but someone with Alzheimer's will have an increased amount. The text also mentions that these characteristics of Alzheimer's are more commonly found in areas of the brain such as the medial temporal lobe, amygdala, and hippocampus, which all involve different aspects of memory. This might have you thinking what type of memory loss is associated with Alzheimer's and why does it happen? We have different types of memory, like episodic, which is long-term, and working memory. But Alzheimer's goes even further by not only destroying all the different types of memory, but also experience and information, much like you would see in patients with amnesia. In the book Biopsychology by Pinell and Barnes, amnesia is defined as a pathological loss of memory and discusses the medial temporal lobes and basal forebrain, and how they play a part in memory and its association with traits like amnesia. They discuss how damage to the medial temporal lobes and basal forebrain cause issues like retaining long-term memories and general amnesia characteristics. The book specifies that degeneration in the basal forebrain, which is a midline area located above the hypothalamus, and holds the main source of acetylcholine, which is the neurotransmitter that carries messages throughout your body. Damage to this area due to the degenerative disease causes amnesia-like symptoms in Alzheimer's patients. At this point, your own head is probably hurting and you're asking yourself, how could I possibly slow down Alzheimer's degeneration on memory or even potentially stop it? That brings our discussion over to sleep. What is it? And the study that was conducted to see if exercise and sleep help improve cognitive function. Going back to that textbook Biopsychology, it discusses sleep in chapter 14 and why we need it. According to the text, the theory is that sleep helps with homeostasis, which is how our body remains stable internally. Sleep is said to restore our energy levels, clear toxins like beta amyloids, remember those guys when talking about Alzheimer's, and help with synaptic plasticity. All these theories were mentioned in our text, and I'll also show within my video to reference later. In the article, The Interaction Between Physical Activity and Sleep on Cognitive Function and Brain Beta Amyloid in Older Adults by Sewell, Rainey Smith, Villamagne, Peffer, Sorabi, Tade, Ames, Dorr, Maruf, Laws, Masters, Rowe, Martins, Erickson, and Brown, sorry if I butcher your names, All the author names will be shown on the video for reference later. The study had 349 healthy adults complete a sleep quality index, an international physical activity questionnaire, and finally a cognitive assessment to test their cognitive abilities. A portion of those participants also completed a PET scan to see the AB amyloids in the brain. What the study showed was that better physical activity increased the quality of sleep, and the increased quality of sleep led to better results on the cognitive test. As we know from our earlier discussion, sleep is important for clearing toxins in our brain, and this study proved that better sleep yielded better episodic memory and attention. Physical exercise is important, but using different methods or practices to increase your quality of sleep could greatly improve healthy brain functioning and memory overall. We have already briefly explained the type of memory loss that Alzheimer's causes, which is akin to having amnesia. But let's explore memory retention a little bit more. In Chapter 11 in the Biopsychology book by Pennell and Barnes, we dive a little deeper into what memory is and how important it is in our daily lives. The book states that learning and memory are two ways of how the mind retains information and changes the behavior to adapt to the information that was learned. Memory is how the information is stored, and when it's needed in our daily lives, it will be brought to the surface of our conscious to be used. Without memory, each phase would become new, and each experience is a new challenge never faced before. Earlier, we discussed how the hippocampus, amygdala, and the medial temporal all have part to play in memory. Each section holding information such as long-term memories, time, physical actions, and short-term memory, and how damage to the basal forebrain, an area that sits above the hippocampus, causes amnesia-type characteristics in Alzheimer's patients since it holds many of the neuron pathways to send messages. Since Alzheimer's causes memory loss by damaging the necessary parts that help retain memory, it is easy to see why many patients in later stages of Alzheimer's become extremely disoriented and confused. Imagine that every face is new, every location is different and unrecognizable, and you can't figure out how to use a fork. These situations can be terrifying for the patients involved, and it is happening to 10% of our elderly population according to the biopsychology textbook. As most doctors will tell their patients, it's important to have healthy practices that lower the risk of getting sick. And there is practices that anyone can do that will help promote a healthy functioning brain. In the article by Landau, Marks, and Mormino called The Association of Lifetime Cognitive Engagement and Low B Amyloid Deposition, they conduct a study that involves 65 healthy older adults, 10 patients with Alzheimer's disease, and 11 young controls with a mean age around 24. They have them complete cognitive activities like reading, writing, and playing games, as well as physical exercise. The more engaged the participants were in activities across their lifespan, but especially in their early and middle life, had results showing reduced beta-amyloid proteins. Those results show that early cognitive activities, even in your middle ages, improve the health of your brain and lower the beta-amyloid proteins that are considered toxic to that brain. This type of research shows that it is possible to slow or even potentially prevent Alzheimer's occurring in individuals by maintaining a healthy brain through those various cognitive activities that were mentioned before. The study even showed some improvement on the older patients that were above 65 and those who were currently diagnosed with Alzheimer's. But the greatest improvement was those who started the activities young and in their middle ages. The point of this discussion is to show that healthy practices like better sleep, exercise, and cognitive engagement could potentially slow down or prevent Alzheimer's and memory loss. This is incredibly important when considering how damaging the disease can be on the brain and how prevalent it is in our society. Maintaining a healthy body and mind can not only reduce the risk for disease and illness, but improve your well-being overall. Understanding biopsychology and how our bodies and brain work allows us to connect reasoning to questions on why these illnesses affect us and how they operate. Learning about memory, how it functions, as well as how sleep, cognitive activities can help improve the parts of our brain that hold memories is vital to maintaining a healthy lifestyle. Alzheimer's is a serious matter, but we can draw conclusions from this research and understand that we need to be utilizing healthy habits to keep our minds protected from disease and increase our well-being overall. Education and health is a gift that we can give to ourselves, but it can also be a gift that we can pass on to others to make a better world.